When you clicked on this video, you truly are one of the kindest people. To thank you for supporting me, today I will take you down to the ocean floor to roleplay and experience the fascinating, captivating life of the octopus. On this journey, you will have 3 hearts, be able to regrow a lost arm, and even coordinate with a few fish friends to hunt together. Set the volume to a comfortable level, lie down and relax, close your eyes, and immerse yourself as you follow my guidance. Now, let's begin. A lost arm into a quiet water touching the part of the severed. A prolonged sting that turns into the wound surface, quick, smooth, clean lead fringe. A tiny bud appears. The minute details keenly feel each wing under the new skin. Body adjusts its rest to save energy generating. For the new arm lengthens, the first sucker rings, few more. You try and silt, a shell face. With errant signals you receive, smoothness, the smell of, you begin retractions. At first, arm often slips. After a few realizes, cord arm and the remaining you have in your arms. Each small tasks on its own for constant orders. This helps you relearn. The arm teaches itself pinch and pat. When you slide the hole, it quickly avoiding sharp edges and right at the rim. The difficulty. From a crack in the rock, locks on to the key, rotates the crab's holds the claw on the apron. Movements is static out of the crevice. You has fulfilled the role. The old cut ain't mark. Days and nights raising grip strength, practicing the exact moment. Each successful step helping the new find abilities. You can regrow. A small gland behind the eyes governs egg care and draws you toward death. You are guarding your egg clutch in still water. The eggs cling in a tidy cluster on a clean patch of rock. You gently fan the water steadily to bring oxygen-rich water past each egg. You use your suckers to check each cluster, removing fine grains of sand and strange debris. All your hours of the day go into this work. You pass up hunting opportunities. You rarely leave the nest. You breathe slowly and keep an even rhythm. Your body changes gradually. You grow thin, yet you persist in fanning and cleaning the eggs. You don't feel the urge to leave to find food as before. Watching the eggs occupies your whole mind and behavior. Inside your head, a gland behind the eyes is constantly active, sending signals that switch your entire body into a maternal state. You hardly pay attention to distant sounds and aren't distracted when the current shifts. Day after day, you fear only two things: the eggs running low on oxygen and small organisms fouling them. You react very quickly to these changes. Whenever the water layer goes stagnant, you increase the fanning rate. Whenever you see a strange speck clinging to a shell, you remove it at once. Time stretches on. Deep cold spells make the water contract and slow. You keep your rhythm. The eggs grow. Embryos are moving inside. By now, your body is exhausted. The gland behind the eyes still directs you, reminding you to stay put. When the young begin striking the thin shell and leaving the nest, your work is complete. You relax with no more need to feed. Your body continues along the course already set. The maternal journey ends here. The entire brooding process is designed to prioritize the survival of the brood, and you have carried it through to the end. You can mimic many other species to avoid attack. You are on fine sand streaked with brown mud. In the distance, a large fish swims close to the bottom and approaches. You lower your body and spread your arms into a flattened shape. Your body color shifts to earth tones, with dark edging running along your form. You glide slowly, straight, without making strong ripples. Your silhouette resembles a bottom-dwelling flatfish. The big fish doesn't immediately recognize you as an easy target. It veers slightly and circles away. You keep moving toward a pitted coral area. From a dark hole, an eel pokes its head out. You don't want a confrontation in tight quarters. This time, you draw your body in, raise two arms in front to form long dark bands, and pale spots appear on the remaining arms. The posture and colors make you look like a banded sea snake. The eel doesn't advance. You back away gradually, keeping a safe distance. You switch tactics again while passing a zone with venomous, spiny creatures. You flare your arms into pointed rays, creating sharp, dark spikes and even spacing between them. Your palette shifts into warning tones with clearly defined dark patches. You don't need to attack. You only need the other side to misjudge the risk. Each change happens with very quick coordination. Skin color changes, the surface raises or flattens, arm postures shift angles. You choose patterns that match the seabed, the light direction, and the type of opponent in front of you. Everything is simple and direct. Make the other hesitate for a moment, and that moment is enough for you to get away. You leave the dangerous area and return to familiar ground. When the danger passes, you let your body settle back into its usual base color and continue hunting. Shaped ink mass to you are stalking a shrimp grass bed when from behind. You keep your tuck your body and as the release a thick dose mucus. This disperse right away. Dark, oval sewer behind, touch falters. You fire a strong force at a sharp angle. You leave a more around the dense mass. Cloud blurs vision, misleads the target. 2 layers of ink. You've moved far enough to be safe. If to follow, you repeat sparingly, exhaust your ink reserves. Ink when truly necessary days, you replenish your ink supply. Clean so that when it comes out even and you've opened enough distance and slip into a rock entrance. You keep your body color to the rock. Breathing slows. Whether the opponent is still the ink cloud behind you is everything return. You leave the crevice, seagrass meadow, and another route. It's very clear. To serve as a decoy cloud to obscure jet thrust to leave the You You can brood eggs for more than 4.5 years in deep, cold water. You are very deep, where light does not reach. The water is steadily cold, the current weak. You choose a firm, clean rock surface. You place the eggs in an even cluster, each egg neat, pale in color, with a clear surface. You fan water gently and evenly, always keeping your arm's distance from the eggs so as not to jostle them too much. Time passes very slowly. At this depth, every process is slower. You give up hunting. You keep yourself in a stable patch of the sea floor, avoiding unusual currents. You devote everything to the clutch. Each day you wipe the fine dust from the egg surfaces, check for odd spots, and increase your fanning when the water is poor in oxygen. You no longer need to count the days, because exact repetition is what matters. When the eggs are young, you see little change. As they grow, small movements begin inside. You see pale eye spots appear. You still persist without leaving the nest. Even though it costs you, you continue. Because if you abandon the clutch, debris may coat it, and the embryos won't breathe enough. In the months that follow, the embryos inside the eggs complete many parts. In cold water, they develop slowly but surely. When the eggs hatch, the young leave the casing with better ability to swim and forage than in warm, shallow waters. You recognize this time when the movements inside the eggs clearly increase. You keep fanning steadily to support the final moments. When the brood has left the nest, your body is at the point of exhaustion. You relax and no longer go out to feed. Your life cycle reaches its final stretch. The entire process, lasting more than 4.5 years, has given the young a firm start in the harsh conditions of the deep. Far above, the sea surface still changes with the seasons. Where you have just guarded the eggs, everything remains slow, cold, and stable. You have completed one of the longest tasks an animal can do for the next generation. You have 3 hearts, and your blood is blue because of a copper-based oxygen carrier. You're lying still in a rock hollow, water flowing gently past. You feel the steady pumping rhythm throughout your body. 2 hearts near the gills push blood through the gills to take up oxygen. The remaining heart drives blood to the whole body. When you move slowly by crawling, the 3 hearts coordinate very smoothly. When you burst forward on a powerful water jet, the heart that pushes blood through the body can briefly slow, so you don't keep swimming hard for long. You usually sprint to escape danger and then reduce speed right away. Your blood is blue because it uses a copper-containing molecule to carry oxygen. This works efficiently in cool seawater with low oxygen. When the water warms, oxygen transport becomes less favorable. Your body tires more quickly, so you favor energy-saving movement such as crawling along the bottom and use jet propulsion only when truly needed. You know your limits well and always choose a sensible pace. By day, you hide in a rock crevice, keeping your heart rate low. When it's time to hunt, you crawl out, using your arms to probe each crack. When you need a burst, you tuck yourself in, drive water through the funnel, and shoot away. After the acceleration, you slow immediately so the systemic heart can regain its normal rhythm. You live well by adjusting rhythm and movement to temperature, currents, and oxygen levels. 3 hearts and blue blood are not just striking details. They are how your body adapts to the deep and to changing waters, helping you balance energy savings with your chances of survival in unexpected situations. You can learn new rules, remember routes, and solve problems without anyone teaching you. You are at a familiar rocky outcrop where small holes lead into a short maze. The night before, you had explored each branch and marked it in memory by the smells, tastes, and the roughness of the surfaces. Today, you return and choose the right turn without hesitation. Your arms coordinate smoothly, front arms probing, rear arms keeping balance, your whole body sliding past rock knobs without getting stuck. You encounter a crab hiding under a broken piece of coral. The mouth of the hole has a small stone lid. The first time, you pull the lid toward you, but it doesn't open. You change tactics, push the lid to the side, and discover it can slide. You register the new rule immediately, without needing many repetitions. After a few tries, you open the lid fluently and clamp the crab. You can also open simple containers you find in areas where fishing gear has been left behind. You turn the lid in one steady direction, not spinning aimlessly. At first, you use too much force, causing the lid to slip from your suckers. After a few times, you adjust to just enough force for the lid to open. When you encounter a similar type of lid again, you instantly recall the old way of turning it. Your ability to learn isn't limited to a single task. You remember the smells of animals you've encountered, the locations of holes rich in prey, and the route back to a safe den when the current shifts. You also recognize the patterns of the person who regularly feeds you when they dive down, from their swimming rhythm to the way they place their hands. You can tell who is safe and who is concerning. Thanks to this capacity for learning and memory, you cut down trial and error time on subsequent nights of hunting. You go straight to spots likely to have prey, skip empty routes, and leave at the right moment when you hear warning cues. Every time you solve a problem, you enrich your store of experience, making future hunts faster and safer. A very potent tide paralyzes an opponent. You are crawling in the intertidal zone. Fish comes close, like confrontation distance. When it's in, the blue ring so clearly deep. This is a very if the other you can deliver with a very small enough to cause rapid. The toxin you carry in your salivary gland isn't large, but it's high. Just opponent's muscles lose function. When the transmission of signals to the opponent's body goes limp, you only employ it or when you need to spray so you can easily hide. You signal before attacking, appear quickly, and the other party understands. Many will retreat immediately. Witnessed bad outcomes. In this way, unnecessary conflict days, you do not. Your skin keeps matching the seafloor. All crustaceans, shrimp, and chance arises. People in the intertidally hide deep in a pool. If someone tries, you leave immediately. Is part of your survival. It helps you defend your difficult prey. Avoiding dangerous places by direction. All methods fail. Do you bite? You can carry. You can cooperate with fish to hunt, and sometimes you punch a fish to keep order. You are in a rocky area with many cracks. A large fish that often joins you on these cooperative hunts appears. It sweeps into deep holes while you thread along the surface, pushing your arms into crevices to flush prey. When prey darts outward, the partner fish catches it at the opening. When prey hides deep inside, you block the outside. The two of you switch positions continuously, moving smoothly from hole to hole. Not everything goes perfectly. Sometimes the fish misses the correct exit, or tries to snatch the prey you just flushed. When that happens repeatedly, you deliver a quick punch with the tip of an arm to remind it. The punch doesn't cause serious harm, but it's clear enough to make the fish adjust its behavior. After that, both of you go back to normal coordination. In an efficient hunting session, you and your fish partner work through many holes in succession. You choose an approach that leaves prey no route backward. You cover 3 sides, leaving only a single exit. The fish reads the cue and waits in the right spot. When prey bursts out, you clamp down, while the fish snaps up the ones that get away. The two of you don't always split evenly, but the total catch is much higher than when you hunt alone. You remember very clearly the places whose terrain favors this cooperative style and return when the tide is right. With each successful coordination, you refine your stance, arm direction, and timing. The reminder punch appears only when discipline needs to be maintained. The important thing is preserving overall efficiency so both sides benefit. Thanks to this joint hunting, you save time searching for prey and reduce the risk of being ambushed by predators. When every participant in the hunt understands their role, the meal arrives faster and more safely. 2 halves of a coconut shell into a mobile shelter on a sandy stretch. The previous 2 hollow halves of a coconut. You approach, lift front arms, and closer to check how snug they are. You decide to take them along. Hair will be useful when you straight 6 arms hug. The 2 rear arms move. This is steady. You want to keep your balance. You cross banks of sand where there are crevices. In a modular shelter to protect yourself. To rest or the shadow glides by, you slip in between them. From inside in a very small slit outside. Dip again and continue moving. You don't only use coconut. There are no shells you use or drifted ceramic cover. Choice of materials. A cover that fits your body enough not to be swept away and durable enough. The benefits are clear. With few hiding spots, you can deliberately want to rest or where you are not entirely as given. Eat your route without worrying. The shell pair, but it gives you an extra protection on your journey to predators. You can fling mud and shells with a water jet to hit an opponent when needed. You are on a patch of sandy bottom mixed with shell fragments, where there are many small holes. A few conspecifics stop by, each holding one burrow entrance. A stranger approaches too closely, striking a challenging pose. You do not want to rush into grappling, because grappling costs energy and easily draws the attention of predators. You cup your arms into a small rim, gather fine mud and a few light shell fragments into the center of the arm webbing. You aim your siphon in the right direction, take a deep breath, then blast a strong stream of water into the mud lump in the middle. The lump shoots out in a stable arc and smacks the front of your opponent's body. It startles and backs off, changing its mind about pushing farther in. You don't stop at one shot. The opponent still hasn't fully retreated. You rotate slightly, pick a few round shell pieces, place them in the exact spot between your arms, and brace them with a thin layer of mud. This time you fire at a low angle, so the throw skims the bottom. A shell fragment rolls forward, hits your opponent's front arm, and throws it off balance. Another individual standing nearby also gets mud splashed onto its eyes and has to blink to clear them. The effectiveness of the throw does not lie in strength, but in the accuracy of the jet angle, the water speed, and the type of material you choose. After a few volleys, the area calms down. The stranger withdraws to the far edge of the shell bed to watch. You do not chase. You return to your burrow entrance, clean off the clinging mud, and arrange a few large shells into a neat rim around the mouth of the hole. You know that each throw consumes the water stored in your mantle cavity and reveals your position for a moment, so you only use it when you need to open distance or when you want to send a clear signal that this is not an unclaimed spot. In the evening, when the shell bed is more crowded, you watch in different directions. Where tensions rise, the mud jets appear more often. Where it's calm, individuals take turns tidying, dragging debris away. Throwing mud and shells is not a prank. It is an effective form of communication that helps you maintain a safe zone around your burrow entrance, keep order when boundaries are crossed, and avoid unnecessary heavy clashes. Your body is almost transparent, making you hard to detect in mid-water. You are suspended in the deep water column beneath a pale light pouring down from the sea surface above. Your body is slender and transparent, your main internal organs faint, your digestive tract a milky white. Your eyes have a cylindrical shape that stands out more than the rest, but you keep your swimming orientation so that the downwelling light does not cast a conspicuous dark patch. You move with the rhythm of soft fins and adjust your slim arms so as not to stir the water strongly. Transparency gives you a clear advantage. When predatory fish or large jellyfish pass by, they need a distinct outline to aim at. You don't give them that outline. Your faint body blends into the water's background. When you need to change direction, you flex your long, thread-like arms slightly, shifting position without creating a dark streak. You avoid areas with bright objects behind you because those can reveal your shape. You feed on small drifting organisms. When you encounter a swarm of tiny crustaceans, you spread your arm rims slightly to increase your sweep area without forming a thick plane. You sip in short pulses, keep a moderate speed, and avoid riling the prey school. As your stomach fills, the color in your belly darkens slightly. You adjust your swimming direction so the darker belly does not contrast sharply with the background. At night, faint glowing streaks sometimes appear from bioluminescent drifters. You avoid swimming through those streaks so you won't be outlined in light. You choose a calmer patch of water. Keep your fin beats steady. Pass through a darker zone, then return to your previous depth layer. On a quiet day, you hardly need to use strong jet propulsion. Quiet keeps you safe. When the weather shifts and the current strengthens, you drop a little lower. Tuck your arms neatly along your body. You wait for the flow to ease and then resume your feeding cycle. Your entire strategy does not rely on hard armor or explosive speed. It relies on a transparent body, economical movement, and patience to make you one of the least noticeable individuals in the vast water. Retune how you're learning to water conditions, edge of a cold flow down lightly, and your body, the transmission of your neurons severely, the open holes on the cell surface and activity levels still travel steadily. You don't need to your body's sensation and move new environment. Make you stronger in a sense. It makes you continuous hours. Persists your firm. When the water adjustments return to their energy, taste at the sucker's steady rhythm of flexing and even and without jerks. The benefit clearly across many kinds of rock flats. You need the shrimp that has just the rock edge. You need to avoid the spines of the fine-tuning in arms lets you shift without falling short. Sometimes you meet a day when times. Early on noon it warms, cools again as the wind still maintain a You don't waste time. Sensation tangled, your eye and your actions, pinching, holding. Thanks to this, you save a lot of trouble. You don't need to layers or live low temperature range, foraging area, and rate amid the sea's daily, especially in places where falls and mixes. Your brain. About 2/3 of your neurons are in your arms and handle work on the spot. You are threading through a maze of rocks with narrow crevices. You cannot see everything inside, so each arm takes a sector. One front arm sweeps lightly to check the surface. A left arm probes the depth of a slit. Another arm tests the softness of the sponge layer at the edge. All arms send information back, but many small decisions are handled right there in the arm without waiting for orders from the center. When you touch a crab in hiding, the arm detects its smell and surface first. That arm self-adjusts its grip force, not squeezing too hard to avoid breaking the claws and not too lightly so the prey slips out. The other arms take firm holds, creating leverage so the gripping arm can work steadily. You feel this coordination clearly, like a practiced team. At a dark fork, the right arm touches a patch of hard spines. That arm withdraws by reflex, while the opposite arm lifts to keep balance. The two rear arms gently push your body to the safe side. All of this happens very fast, and you don't need to stop to think. That is how most work is distributed. One arm works, one arm corrects, the other arms keep you stable. When you are near the target, a front arm moves a small object out of the way. A rear arm lifts your body. You clamp the prey with two arms, use a third to hold a lid, and a fourth to block the escape route. Your center only sets the goal and coordinates overall, while the fine adjustments happen right in the arms. The benefit of this structure is obvious in a complex environment. You are not slowed by having to issue commands for every tiny movement. You also don't get confused when many things happen at once. Each arm knows its job and can exchange quickly with the neighboring arm through the connections running along the basal ring. Thanks to that, you are both fast and steady, always saving energy on long night journeys. Octopuses live clustered, not always solitary, a broad area curls. Many dance together around tall. Each animal keeps a paddles into a neat rim. You choose a spot, clear loose shells to the entrance. A few pale their color. No one rushes. Everyone keeps distance across the bed. Shell bed is calmer. Is its shelter. Shell piece to the left and set a small. You notice a few likely leftovers. This material, you take a few pieces that pack them into the rim to as evening falls. One octopus boundary strip color to remind it of the stands and veers off. Octopuses contest and jets of silver for a few rounds. Its old doorway requires clear boundaries. Brings benefits. A stockpile of material need to reinforce your entry. A suitable piece of shell also makes the sinking easier to read signals on. Enters, many detect you slip deep into your. In return, you need it. Don't hoard to another's home, and don't doorway for too long. Many leave their dens, the shell bed orderly in the. You also head out. Splits from the crowded zone. You recognize your distinctive rim. A shell bed is not. It is a shared area. Know the boundaries and listen to one another. To that, you have a stay floor that changes. You can change the color, pattern, and roughness of your skin in a very short time. You're pressed close against a pale, sandy surface where there are tiny grains and a few sparse strands of seagrass. In just a brief moment, your skin shifts from a gray-brown tone to a pale yellow tone, speckled exactly like the sand grains. The darker flecks sit at the right intervals. The outline of your body is broken into many small patches, making your shape hard to recognize. You don't need to pause long to prepare. You only need to decide what the substrate beneath looks like. and your body itself carries out the ultra-fast opening or closing of pigment sacs. You leave the sand and crawl onto a dark rock pitted with many small holes. Immediately, the pattern on your body shifts to distinct dark patches, interspersed with a few narrow light streaks, the skin surface bulging slightly to create a pitted feel. You don't necessarily raise the skin surface too much in every situation. You raise it just enough to match the rock background. When the shadow of a predatory fish glides past, you keep still, breathe evenly, and avoid creating strong ripples. You continue toward a coral edge with many mats of fine algae. Now you need a different mix. You change the pattern into small, evenly scattered patches, lowering the contrast so you don't stand out against the algae. When a cloud passes overhead on the water's surface, the light on the bottom changes for a moment. A dark band appears on your skin and moves in the direction of the light, like a faint shadow sliding across. This band helps fool a predator watching from afar, because it throws off the rhythm of its scanning. You always choose a strategy based on the actual background. If the background has many straight lines, you increase straight bars. If it has many round spots, you increase round spots. When the background shifts quickly between bright and dark, you lower contrast to avoid revealing a delayed change. Your speed of color and pattern change is fast enough to keep up with surface light changes on a breezy midday. The benefit of this ability shows in every meal and every escape. You rarely have to use energy-costly jetting. You only need to lie still and let the seafloor swallow your outline. When an opportunity comes, you gently extend an arm, pinch the prey, and retreat into a crevice before anyone realized a large creature was lying right there. Your skin reacts to light on its own, so you fine-tune your camouflage even when you're not using your eyes. You are hidden beneath a rock ledge with a thin film of algae. Morning light slants in. The water surface ripples gently. As soon as a small streak of light falls on your back, the pigment sacs on that patch contract slightly, making the area brighter to match the new light. When shade passes over, the sacs in that area expand and the color darkens again. These small adjustments happen frequently, even when your eyes are directed elsewhere. You check the effect by lifting an arm to lightly shade part of your back. The shaded patch darkens very quickly without you needing to look directly. When you remove your arm, it brightens again to fit the general background. This self-adjustment helps you avoid a patch falling out of sync that would expose your body in a scene where light changes continuously. You leave the ledge and swim slowly across a seagrass bed. Along the way, you pass open gaps with strong light and tighter gaps with deeper shadow. Your skin reacts quickly enough to keep your whole body from showing obvious mismatched patches. Each time the shadow of a cloud arrives, your body keeps pace without requiring a long list of detailed commands from you. When you stay still in a small nook to wait for prey, you seldom have to use your eyes to check every patch of skin, because scattered light-sensing cells are already helping you maintain an overall rhythm that matches the environment. You only need to listen for movement and choose your moment. The subtle adjustments in your skin run like a background task, always working to lower the risk of being detected. Thanks to this, you save a great deal of energy and time. You don't have to keep changing spots just because the light changes. You don't need to raise the skin surface excessively or hastily jet ink for cover. You wait calmly, keeping your body blended into the general background while remaining ready for a precise strike when prey passes by. Your eyes can distinguish color tones by changing how you focus, even though the retina doesn't have many types of color cells. You are at a reef edge with many brown, green, and gray patches. You narrow your pupil into a slim horizontal slit. When you look at a patch of background, you adjust focus to see whether it's sharp or blurred. If the patch is still slightly fuzzy, you change focus by a very small amount until it reaches maximum sharpness. Each tone makes light enter the eye a little differently, so the exact point of best focus is slightly different between tones. You use this very small difference to infer the dominant tone of the substrate right in front of you. After determining the tone, you adjust your body's color to match, reducing the difference between you and the background to a minimum. On pale yellow sand, you increase the yellow component and reduce dark streaks. On a dark green algal background, you increase dark green and create a few dark bars to break up the outline. All adjustments occur quickly and are accompanied by steady breathing so you don't disturb the water. You experiment continuously as you move. You sweep your gaze across an area, shift focus slightly to check which tone dominates, then adjust your body. You don't need to stop long to observe. You only need a few moments for each spot. This lets you move through constantly changing backgrounds without being exposed. When the sky is cloudy, the light is soft and dimmer, and the tones are less distinct. You still use the sharpness focus test to choose the closest tone. When the sun is harsh, the differences are clearer, and you adjust more quickly. Sometimes the difference lies in very narrow strips, such as a rock edge with dark algae lying between bright sand. You still catch that difference and avoid making your body stand out at the boundary. Thanks to this skill, you don't need a complex set of eyes to classify colors. You use your focusing ability and the slit shape of your pupils to read signals from the background, and from there blend effectively into any scene with differing color tones, even when they differ by only a small degree. In very deep water, you swim with two steady, soft fins and live slowly to save energy. You are where natural light no longer reaches. The water here is cold, still, and dense. You spread the two soft fins on either side of your head and beat them rhythmically, each stroke light, yet strong enough to lift your whole body. You rarely use powerful jet propulsion because each burst costs a lot of energy. You move slowly, keep a steady heading, and watch for the small creatures that fall from above. You are in no hurry to catch prey. You wait until drifting objects come close enough, then touch lightly with a long arm to sense them. When it is edible prey, you coil your arms and bring it to your mouth. If it is not, you let it go and keep waiting. At this depth, a slow and precise habit helps you stay healthy for many years. You reproduce on a different rhythm than in the shallows. When the time comes, you can keep your eggs in a fixed place and guard them for a long stretch. Cold water allows embryos to develop more slowly but more safely. You choose a spot with a gentle current so the eggs receive enough oxygen and gather less fouling. You conserve every bout of movement to save strength for the long guarding phase. Your body is softer and thicker than species that live in shallow water. Your arms have thin folds running lengthwise, helping you hold a stable swimming posture without constant flexing. You do not argue noisily over crevices because the environment around you offers few hiding places. You keep a wide distance from other individuals, avoiding unnecessary conflict in a space with limited resources. Life at this depth depends on patience. You avoid unnecessary movements. You choose a sensible waiting spot and rarely leave an area if it already provides enough food. Two soft fins carry you through the dark water in even beats. Each day passes quietly yet efficiently, and that is how you stay well in a cold, stable world. You taste and smell directly with every sucker on your arms, so the moment you touch, you already know what is safe or what you should avoid. You are crawling across a rocky bed layered with thin films of microorganisms. You extend a forearm to touch a pale patch of sponge. Your suckers instantly return a sense of a strange flavor, slightly bitter and acrid. You pull your arm back, avoiding bringing your mouth near that area. You shift toward a crevice with a fainter smell and a slight slick feel. This sign often tells you there is a clam or a snail hidden inside. You keep testing. One arm touches the sandy bottom, another taps a shell fragment. Each sucker works like a tiny probe, touching and tasting at once. You do not need to bring an object to your mouth to check. You already know quite a lot from the very first contact. When you encounter a crab in hiding, you feel the hard outer layer, yet still gather enough information about the soft edges at the joints. You choose a grip point at a joint to pry it open more easily. You learn very quickly from each touch. Any area that smells unusually and excessively fishy is usually a sign the prey has spoiled. You pass it by to avoid illness. Areas with a light, fresh scent and no acrid note usually show that new water has flowed through and there is live prey. You prioritize staying longer in such places. After eating, you rinse your suckers by passing them through clean water to clear lingering odors, avoiding confusion in later checks. You also use your suckers to interact safely with the environment. When passing the den of another individual of your kind, you lightly touch the rim of the materials at the entrance to see whether there is a fresh scent. If the smell is still fresh, you understand the owner is nearby, and you avoid going deeper. If the smell is old and faint, you may borrow a shell fragment at the edge without trespassing. Thanks to tasting with your hands, you make decisions quickly and accurately as you go. You do not spend much time looking with your eyes in a maze of many small holes. Each touch is a round of gathering information about smell, taste, slickness, roughness, and freshness. All of it helps you hunt more efficiently, avoid risks, and keep your body healthy through the long nightly forays. You can move using 2 arms in an upright posture, while the other 6 arms wrap tightly around your body for camouflage. You are on a wide, sandy flat with a few low clumps of seagrass. The sand surface is smooth, with few holes, so if you crawl as usual, your shape will be quite exposed. You decide to change your gait. You pull 6 arms in to hug your body, wrapped around like a snug coat. The 2 rear arms act as props and pushers. You lift yourself slightly, tilt your body a little for balance, then take firm steps one by one. The cadence is steady, not too fast, to keep your balance. When you meet a small object along the way, such as a shell fragment or a round stone, you lean slightly, shift your weight to the opposite arm, and pass over it steadily. This way of moving makes you look very different from when all 8 arms are splayed. From a distance, your shape no longer shows 8 spread arms. 6 arms wrapped around your body form a compact mass pressed close to the substrate. Your skin tone shifts to sandy hues or the color of dried seagrass, depending on the background. You can add a few long streaks running along your body to break up the outline. When there is wind on the sea surface and the light on the bottom shifts continuously, you keep your pace even so as not to create unusual ripples. You use the two rear arms like solid pillars. With each step, one arm plants while the other comes forward, and your body is pushed ahead a short distance. You do not press too hard to avoid slipping on the fine sand. When you need to change direction, you rotate your funnel and turn your body in concert without using jet propulsion. If you encounter a filament of algae, you pause for a brief beat, adjust color and skin texture to match, then continue across. The clearest advantage is that you can cross open stretches with few hiding places without drawing much attention. In areas patrolled by predators, this gait makes you resemble a piece of material skimming along the bottom rather than a soft-bodied animal crawling. You still keep the ability to react quickly. If sudden danger appears, you release the 6 arms, spread the suckers and grip hard, then switch to crawling or jetting to accelerate out of the area. You do not use the 2-arm gait all the time. You use it only when the terrain is flat, has few holes, and you need to reduce your visible profile. In narrow dens, you return to the 8-armed crawl because it helps you cling firmly and turn more nimbly. By changing posture according to the sea floor and the situation, you remain safe and save a lot of energy over the long distances you travel each night. You can crawl onto damp rock for a short time to hunt and then return to the water safely. You are in a zone with regular tides. Tonight the water has receded just enough to reveal a rock step connecting 2 shallow pools. The rock surface is wet, with a thin film of algae and a few scattered patches of barnacle shells. You draw a full charge of water into your mantle cavity, seal it, and begin to crawl up. Your suckers set down in measured beats, testing the slipperiness of the surface before you commit force. You choose the shortest path, avoiding dry streaks because they rob you of moisture and make abrasion more likely. On the rock, the scent of small crabs and snails is mixed with the smell of algae. You probe shallow cracks with each arm. A crab is pressed flat beneath a thin slab of rock. You plant 2 arms to brace the edge, and with one arm you tip the slab just enough to open a slit. The other arm slides in to grip the apron. Everything is done cleanly so you don't splash out the water you've been holding in your mantle cavity. You secure the prey and retreat quickly toward the nearest pool. You always keep strict time. Each foray ashore lasts only long enough for 1 or 2 captures. When the wind rises, the rock surface dries faster. You do not linger at those times. If you meet a slope crusted with sharp barnacles, you place your arms slowly and firmly to avoid tearing skin. When you need a half-second pause, you press your body into a damp strip of algae to keep water on your skin. You do not go ashore on days of harsh sun or strong wind because the surface dries very quickly. You choose cool, humid nights with light breezes. You always keep a clear escape route back to the water. If you happen to drop into a dry, cracked hole, you turn around immediately and find the lowest rock step to slide down. Once you are back in the water, you gradually release the water you've held, settle your breathing, and rest in a soft crevice of the reef. With a few rinsing motions, you wash your arms to erase the shore scent lingering on your suckers, avoiding unwanted attention. Going ashore lets you reach prey different from what you find in the water, especially small crabs hiding when the tide is out. But you only do this when the conditions are safe, and you always favor routes that are damp, short, and offer clear stopping points. That way, you get a rich meal without taking on too much risk. Phases. A quiet phase, accompanied by you choose a whisk with fine sand low. Before your body color to the back, you're breathing evenly around your body. Later, your body enters, your breathing slow stabilizes, and this is the mean you recover after sand and slipping through. After a period of stillness into another brief, skin color changes quick. You familiar patterns, dark bands across the back, mottled spots along arms, flex and extends. Sometimes if rehearsing a capture, your breathing rate falls. Long, but it appears safety and energy. Color changes during sleep. They occur used crevice. Organizing the routine day. When you includes both phases, clamp reflexes are for the coming night are memory. Feeling nimble. For a full sleep. Any unusual sounds, short spells of quiet phase rarely appear. Days when you eat little favors deep rest, sleep. Wish energy first, the sleep toward dawn, and predators are with this sleep rhythm of fine movements and handling hard. You don't need a fixed refuge to sleep. That's closed enough, and a quiet window. The repeating cycle next night falls. You have and protruding bumps. You are on a block by many smaller. Your outline could slant. You small muscles evenly spaced. Several bands. In an instant, looks just like the rough your back with an arm, just enough to break up when you move onto the bumps, leaving us when lying on lightly so you don't cast can be maintained for a spend much energy. At midday, disrupt the bright. When a hunting fish gone to any edge, you keep still. If it shifts, fracture the silhouette. You move across a path. You raise the bumps more to match the larger specks at the tips. When you need to move, returning to smooth, nagging on sharp edges. Need to squirt ink or choose a surface mode, combining it with color camouflage. Rock for a very long when the observer is fair. You can raise your... You use color and pattern to send signals during the breeding season, and sometimes smaller males pretend to be females to avoid being attacked. You approach an open area where several individuals gather in the afternoon. The color of your body slowly shifts to a bright tone on one side, facing the individual you're interested in. The other side keeps a base tone so as not to provoke the large male standing on the opposite side. You keep a safe distance, eyes watching both directions. When the target responds by changing patterns on the front arms, you move a short step closer. You don't close in too fast. You adjust your pattern into even bands and keep your breathing steady. The large male farther away watches but makes no move. You stay ready to shift your colors back to the base tone if he shows signs of charging. There are smaller males in the ground. One of them keeps a soft base tone and reduces the dark streaks on the body, looking like a passing female. It slips over to the other side to make a quick approach in a short window. When the large male turns away, it takes the chance to get close to the target, mates, then retreats quickly. This strategy only works when it controls its pattern skillfully enough and picks the timing precisely. You don't always use stealth. When you have the advantage, you change color plainly, creating strong, bright bands on the arms and front of the body, sending a direct signal. When two individuals of similar size compete, a rapid color change display can occur, but it usually ends when one side dims its colors and withdraws. Prolonged clashes are rare because they drain both sides and easily attract predators. After mating, everyone returns to a normal rhythm. You head back to a quiet area and resume your foraging routine. Color and pattern signals let all sides understand one another without dangerous contact. The small male's disguise is a trick used only when the strength gap is too obvious. Thanks to a signaling system that is simple, clear, and timely, the breeding season proceeds efficiently and doesn't cause too much disruption to the rest of the rocky reef's daily life. You move by jet propulsion from the mantle cavity and steer with a funnel that can swivel in many directions. You are pressed close against a long rock ledge with a few shallow cracks. In front of you lies an open stretch of sand, extending to a seagrass bed. You want to cross quickly before the big fish at the edge of the reef circles back. You slightly open the rim of the mantle cavity, draw in a full intake of water, and feel the pressure rise evenly. You turn the funnel backward, set the angle slightly to the left to be ready. One distinct muscle contraction expels the water in a straight jet, and your body darts forward in a clean burst. You repeat 2 short bursts with very brief pauses so you don't create a wake so strong that it gives away your position. Halfway across, you see a jumble of shells and sand to the right. You change course quickly by swiveling the funnel to the left while rotating your body by a few degrees. The jet's direction shifts instantly. To adjust altitude, you lower your fins slightly and lift your body a bit to avoid scraping against a sharp shell fragment. Near the seagrass bed, you ease off the thrust, switch to short puffs, then stop jetting so you don't stir up the soft blades and draw a predator's attention. You know the limits of jet propulsion. Each strong series of bursts drains you quickly. The systemic heart can slow for a moment, so you don't extend this way of moving for long. You use jetting to open distance, clear obstacles, or escape. Otherwise, you choose to crawl with your arms because it's more economical and discreet. When you need a tight turn, swiveling the funnel to the right or left combined with a body twist is enough for a neat course change without stopping. On days when the water flows at an angle, you set the funnel oblique to the current so you aren't pushed off course. If the water is murky, you increase the short bursts and lower your profile to reduce a visible bubble trail. If the rock bottom is bumpy, you use a light puff to pull your body up over a lip and then drop back down immediately to re-grip with your arms. You always keep your breathing steady between series of bursts so your body doesn't slip into exhaustion. By combining jetting and crawling, you control distance with great precision. You leave the open patch, slip into the shelter of a seagrass edge, and relax. The funnel centers, the mantle opens slightly to let fresh water flow in, and your heartbeat returns to a steady rhythm. That compact water engine isn't loud and doesn't produce a long hiss. It's a short-term but decisive tool that ensures you always have a clear exit in places with absolutely nowhere to hide. Your blood uses a copper-based oxygen carrier, so it performs worse in warm, low-oxygen water. You are at the edge of a shallow rock shelf. Today, the water is noticeably warmer than on previous days. You feel fatigue earlier even without much movement. To adapt, you choose to crawl close to the bottom and cut down on energy-hungry jet bursts. You slip into a place with a gentle current where fresh water continually passes over your gills. Your breathing rhythm lengthens a little, but you stay calm to avoid wasting energy. You rearrange your hunting schedule. Instead of foraging in sun-blasted open areas, you fall back to the shaded rim of a large rock where the temperature is slightly lower. You prioritize prey that's easy to handle and skip crabs with oversized claws because they demand prolonged effort. You avoid cruising the mid-water layer since it's markedly warmer. You pick dawn and late afternoon, when the water softens, to carry out the short bursts of speed you need. In a closed bay, pockets of low-oxygen water sometimes appear. You don't stay there. You check by sensing the water's faint smell and the heavy feeling in your breathing, then depart toward a direction with stronger flow. When you have to pass through, you increase the intake-expel cycle at the gills for a short time, then rest in a cool crevice so your body's rhythm can rebalance. You also adjust your defenses. You limit inking unless it's truly necessary, because replenishing ink stores costs energy. You avoid areas with loose rubble, prone to slides, because getting stuck once would drain a lot of breath. You choose stable sand with sparse seagrass to hide your body, instead of lying among hotter, jagged rocks. When the wind shifts and brings in cooler water, you feel the rhythm lighten. You use that window to feed back up and move to a better shelter for the next day. Every small decision in warmth and low oxygen follows clear principles. Reduce explosive movement, choose places with fresh water flow, hunt cleanly, and rest at the right time. Thanks to that, you maintain endurance through many stretches of warm, sunny days. Female argonauts craft a thin shell to brood eggs and hold an air bubble to regulate buoyancy. You are in offshore waters, the surface above rippling lightly. You cradle a thin, milky white shell whose surface is smooth and light. This shell is not a rigid structure pre-made by your body. You create it with two specialized dorsal arms, layering on thin sheets over many consecutive days. Inside the shell, The eggs are neatly attached in bands, safe within the hollow chamber. On a calm morning, you gently press the shell right up to the water's surface. A small air bubble slips into the shell's chamber. You lower the shell and check the buoyancy. When the bubble is just right, you hover at the desired depth without expending much effort to hold position. When the current pushes you upward, you crack the shell open slightly to let some air escape. When you need to rise, you bring it close to the surface again to capture more air. You move with very economical beats of fins and arms. Your prey are tiny, drifting organisms, sometimes gatherings of juvenile crustaceans near the surface. You sweep an arm lightly, guiding prey into your mouth without making the shell rock hard. Every action aims to protect the eggs within. When a predatory fish draws near, you reduce buoyancy a little, lower the shell into darker water, and keep still until it is safe. Far offshore, males and females differ greatly in size. Females, like you, are large and carry a shell, while males are much smaller and do not make one. The entire task of brooding falls to you. The thin shell is not heavy, yet it is rigid enough to serve as a shield and light enough for quick adjustments. When the waves are strong, you avoid bringing the shell too close to the surface to prevent jarring impacts. Days pass with steady breathing. You check the eggs, sweep away fine fouling along the inner rim, adjust the air bubble, then rest. Everything is simple, but demands patience. Thanks to the thin shell and the air bubble, you control your vertical position, keep the eggs in suitable water, and reduce how often you must resort to powerful jetting, keeping both you and the eggs safe in the open expanse of the sea. Your suckers hardly stick to your own skin, thanks to distinctive chemical signals on the skin's surface. You're threading through a narrow rock crevice, 8 arms crossing and uncrossing continually. Each time 2 arms meet, the suckers glide past without clinging. The sensation is familiar and safe. When an arm happens to brush the skin of your belly, the suckers immediately ease their grip. Apply that same force to a shell fragment, and the suckers hold fast and pull the object toward you. The difference lies in surface signaling. You test this while resting in a den. You lift one arm to touch your back. The suckers press lightly, then release. You switch to touching the edge of a small stone. The grip increases markedly, each ring of suckers sealing tight. You withdraw your arm and find the skin still clean, unscuffed, and not sticky. This matters when you must curl into tight spaces where arms cross each other hundreds of hours an hour. The ability to avoid sticking to yourself lets you work quickly in twisted spots. When hunting in a crevice, one arm blocks the exit, another probes deep, and the rest brace. If the suckers stuck to your skin, you would tangle and have to peel yourself free, slow and scratch-prone. With your skin's unique signal, every movement flows smoothly. Even if an arm is severed in a bad situation, that detached arm still adheres only weakly to your body. It keeps basic reflexes but does not snag you. You can leave the danger zone unimpeded. Once safe, the wound begins the regrowth process over time. On ordinary days, you use this advantage to bundle your body when camouflaging. 6 or 7 arms wrap around your body while the remaining one scouts the way. The suckers on the arms that hold your body do not stick hard to the skin. They set down as light anchors, just enough to keep a compact shape. You still retain the ability to snap free instantly when danger signals appear. That surface signal system works quietly, keeping 8 arms from becoming a tangled bundle and letting you move through narrow cracks in safety. A partner fish during assert order and keep. You are moving full of deep holes, swims alongside. Both of you in this area. Holes to flush out shrimp. The fish waits and cut off their escape. Coordinate correctly. From time to time slips. The flea driving the prey back. Another time it snaps pinned at the rim. Repeatedly, you shoot and rotate the wrist of a punch. The punch is compact reef. The fish distance and reset sound. After it returns to a sensible a hole, seal off, leave a single exit, correct doorway. When everything clicks and you do not punch prolonged conflict opportunities. When your partner's behavior efficiency over many, you memorize the area. If you stand at the fish covers the main one, has only one exit, while the fish hugs the not slip down. Communicate with position and no sound required. Familiar, the need for. At the end of you and a fish part seagrass patch. Then, swim. The reason for maintenance, a hunt with yields more prey separately. The ice tool to correct them breaks. You conserve energy for spend time resting in your. Thank you for accompanying me to the end of the story. I wish you a peaceful sleep in a warm rock den, and see you in the next telling to uncover clearer knowledge about the life of the octopus.